transferred to other school divisions under this section for a maximum of 2% of the students of any resident school division based on the March 1st average daily membership established in the preceding school year. And what that does, that limits any virtual classes to a maximum of 2% in the district.
Where will that be inserted?
Do what?
Where will that be inserted?
He'll put it in around the virtual section. We don't have the exact place just yet, but that language will go in there if this committee adopts that language.
I move to adopt that language.
Do we have there are questions, gentlemen?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this amendment doesn't do away with virtuals, it just would cap it.
Right. It does not do away with it because there might be some circumstances where there might be the need, but we just don't want it to, we don't want it to run away. Any other questions? The motion to adopt. Gentlemen, do you have a question?
Do you have any idea how many numbers we're talking about, like a 2%, or it's a 2% per school district? And some districts wouldn't have might not have it, right?
Right, absolutely. So it's up to the district. It gives the district involvement in it. Whoever the levy is. Yes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess what would happen is my only fear is if that school is only offering an AP class and doesn't have that teacher or whatever, if there's are we going to put anything in there if children over 2% need to take a virtual class, would be able to have an exception? I mean, at this point, we're trying not to limit our kids in graduation. I think we're trying to keep ourselves in a quick thing.
Well, I think actually that there will be, and the law allows, this proposed piece of legislation allows if a school district, there's a charter school in the location and it has excess numbers, then they can move around a little bit, but you can't do it. People that live within that school district have first access to everything that's there. I personally wanted to keep all of the virtual activity in here, but I think it would be wise to limit the amount of money that goes out for it. And we probably, if it works out where we see that it's actually becoming a booming success, but I think we need to maintain control of it. And that there's tight guidelines on each person that's actually operating a virtual class.
Now, this is a contract with another company that we refer to.
Right. And of course, when we adopt this last amendment, then I'm going to turn the floor over to the gentleman already. He can go all the way through the whole bill, answer any technical questions that you got. Yes.
So this virtual charter school will be inside a charter school?
Well, it will actually just be a contract to provide virtual services, but only 2% can be allocated for it.
But it will, what I'm trying to get at is, will the students be under some kind of supervision?
Absolutely. We just must put amendments in this bill to make sure that they were tested physically, that they were monitored physically, to make sure that they were actually doing their coursework. Yes, go ahead.
And the virtual public school, which is different from the charter school, is it open to children across Mississippi, right? To any public school, right?
Well, in the existing charter bill here, yes. But everything kind of stays within its existing district.
Mr. Chairman, this might have been what he asked, but I didn't understand the answer. So the 2%, that is within the district, not statewide, right?
Yeah, within the district, yes. It'll be 2% of the funds that the district has available. And lady from the soda.
Mr. Chairman, for these charter school virtual schools, now this is an entity within the entity. These will be different virtual schools. Can be a different virtual school within every charter school. So this would be duplication of services all over the state. I think, and I'm not even sure of what I'm saying, but I think under the State Board of Education, I think when we set up the virtual school that we set it up that it could be done in this manner, but we found it was so cost prohibitive, and if I'm wrong, I'm just wrong, but I think they went to a central virtual school because it was cheaper to get your calculus. You know, all you needed was the one instructor and the one setup, and it could be broadcast to the whole state. I would suggest that if we do these virtual charter schools, that we set them up so that you find one vendor to save money. That would be very expensive if every charter school has a different virtual school provider.
Right. We might can address that later with the committee, I'm asking your indulgence to go, let's stick this in there, and we'll have that in, and then we can start with the discussion on the bill.
Mr. Chairman, first of all, I just want to say I have a lot of trouble getting my mind wrapped around virtual charter schools. I just have trouble with that. But my question may help me narrow some stuff down. We have virtual public schools, traditional public schools right now.
Mm-hmm.
What is the percent of students in those schools? Do we know that?
I have no idea. What's the percentage of our kids that are in the virtual?
You have 3,500 course enrollment.
About 3,500.
And is that through that's the state?
That's the entire thing.
Yeah. What this is doing is just allowing the charter school to use virtual schools. It's not establishing a virtual school. Yes, gentlemen.
Mr. Chairman, I have two questions. One, we have around 500,000 students in the state, so if each district had 2%, then that would be about 10,000 students, and we already service 3,500. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And second of all, with Amendment 1, by changing the language on line 88 where it was successful and then the lower classifications, those would also be the applicable districts for the virtual program. Is that correct?
Say that again. Okay.
The exemptions created with Amendment 1, those, my understanding is that would also apply to Amendment 10 in the virtual.
That would be correct. Okay.
I so move.
Motion is to adopt that amendment. All in favor of that amendment say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay.
Nay.
Okay, we have adopted all of the subcommittee amendments to the bill. And at this point in time, I'm going to recognize the gentleman from up there that has worked extremely hard on this piece of legislation. We'll let him go through it. And if you want to answer questions on section by section, there's a lot of sections, or if you want to go all the way through it, and if you will, I think he actually gave you a handout, a summary. Those
summaries, we may have to go slow and work through those summaries because the numbers change the whole
Okay, if you will, let him work through it. If it's a real complicated question, just try to turn the piece of paper over, write your questions on the back, and we will address everyone's concerns at the end, if you don't mind.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If I could, I recognize my family is here over there on the left, but also we have Dr. Ellis and the gentleman who's worked hard to provide help to kids in Mississippi. My mother and my wife are.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, we're going to go slow through each piece because some of the numbers are kind of staggered after the amendment process that we just went through. But in section 1, it's simply main Mississippi Public Charter School Act 2012. If you go to section 2, it states the purpose of the act between lines 57 and 66. would improve student learning, close the achievement gap, increase high-quality educational opportunity for all students, especially those at risk of failure. Also, if we move on down between 75 and 83, also the public charter schools under this act, they are public schools. 182, no provision in this act shall allow conversions of private schools into public charter schools. You would go to Section 3. Section 3 is clear that it is a definition section. Section 4. Section 4 describes the open enrollment and lottery requirements. On 165, a public charter school shall be open to any student residing in the state. And between 173, the enforced language between those points, 173 to 181, would be that a public charter school may be organized around a special emphasis for children. 177, the at-risk composition enrollment shall reflect non-charter schools district by no more than 25% of that population in that district. We would go to line between 200 to 205. The charter school shall enroll all students unless the number of students exceeds the capacity. If the capacity is insufficient, the charter school shall select through a lottery system. Section 5 is the enrollment preference. Between 206 and 213, the summary would be any conversion school enrollment preference will be students who reside in the attendance area. Section 216, a charter school shall give
Section 5, line.
But that's why I say some of the numbers are different. That's why I'm trying to follow the actual bill. So that's why I'm reading certain sections so you can kind of catch up. So a charter school shall give enrollment preference to students enrolled in previous school years to siblings of students already enrolled. 21 through 24. A charter school may enrollment preference to children of the public charter school's founder, governing board, member, full-time employees, so long as they constitute no more than 10%. Section 6, credit transferability. This section simply describes if a child previously enrolled in a charter.
Is there not a chair there for you?
There's credit sitting here. I'll find it. Don't worry about it.
You'll bring it run around and get take there for our committee. Okay, all right,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Section 6, credit transferability. If a child previously enrolls in a charter school and they enroll in a public school, all credits will be accepted. Section 7, notice to parents and the general public. The charter school district will provide information about the charter schools to the general public. Section 8, eligible authorizers. The eligible authorizers would be the State Board of Education. They may authorize conversion of public charter schools. And then the independent side would be the Mississippi Public Charter School Board, which would authorize the start of charter. And the local school board authorizes public charter schools within the boundaries of the school district. Section 9, Mississippi Public Charter School Board. On line 257, is an independent state agency with statewide chartering jurisdiction. On line 264, I believe, Mr. Chairman, this is one of the lines that were amended. The Mississippi Public Charter School Board shall consist of 5 members. One is the governor. The governor will appoint 3. The lieutenant governor will appoint 1, and the speaker will appoint another. And that's why it's already amended. They will serve staggered terms. No member shall serve more than 7 consecutive years. Section 10. Office of Charter Schools, State Department of Education. This established an office of the charter school within the State Department of Education. Section 11, authorizing power, duties, and liabilities. Authorizing duty would be, and this is described from line 318 to 337, soliciting and evaluating charter applications, approving quality charter applications, declining to approve weak and inadequate charter applications, negotiating contracts, and monitoring. Renewals, non-renewals, and revocation. Section 12, standards for authorizing. On line 347. Authorizers shall practice consistent, nationally recognized principles and standards. Section 13, authorizer funding. Lines are 393 to 401. Authorizer shall receive 3% annual per pupil allocation. These dollars are used to cover the cost for any authorizer to oversee this public charter school. Okay. Section 14, conflict of interest and exclusivity of authorizer's function. 402. No employee, trustee, agent, or representative of an authorizer may simultaneously serve as employee, trustee, agent, authorizer, representative, vendor, or contractor of a public charter school. Section 15. Services purchased from authorizers. Lines are described from 410 to 422. No public charter school shall be required to purchase services from its authorizer. However, they may enter into a contract in the case of a local district authorizer.
give those line numbers, they're always off.
Gentlemen, I'm working off of, I would call this the master roll, and I'm trying to get it
The
together.
line number, it's all going to be a little further down than the actual number that he gives you, but you should be in the right section.
Oh, yeah, I can better track a section by section rather than call it line, it's always off.
Okay, well, I thought that may help you.
Well, if he calls out line 100, you know it's after that point in the bill. And that might help you a little bit. Just look at it as a reference point. Okay. Continue, Joe.
Application process, the RFP, section 16. This section describes as authorized to issue a publicized RFP by September the 1st. The RFP shall include a performance framework. We're moving on to section 17. The decision-making process. Described in section 17, authorizers shall employ nationally recognized principles, standards, and best practices. Further, in that section, they must provide a public forum for local residents to learn about and provide input on each application. Okay, section 18, purpose of charter application. It gives applicants an opportunity to present an academic and operational vision and plan. Section 19, initial charter terms, 5 years. Section 20, charter contract, establish guidelines for writing and executing charter contracts. And also, I just Representative Martin's by virtual charter contracts as well. Section 21, performance framework. In this section, it describes the performance framework shall include indicators such as academic proficiency, academic growth, achievement gap in both proficiency and growth between major student subgroups, enrollment, suspension rates, expulsion rates, post-secondary readiness, financial performance, and sustainability. Also in this section, it goes on to describe after lines, and I still want me to say it for 700, after 700. The governing board that has multiple schools, each school shall be held individually accountable. How you doing? Okay, on line 743, each authorizer shall annually publish and provide annual reports to the legislature. Okay, section 22, ongoing oversight, corrective action, renewal and revocation. Charter may be renewed in a 5-year term. On line, I hope I have the line like these on my notes, so I have to say it. 774. The performance report shall summarize reference to data, the weaknesses or concerns by the authorizer. Also in that section, the authorizer determines or may determine to revoke or renew a charter contract. Section 23, closure and dissolution protocol. Authorizer shall develop a public charter school closure protocol. Also in this section, important line in that, we'll say it's line 900. It talks about the funding will revert back to the state. All 898, all unspent governmental funds, unspent earnings from those funds and assets purchased with governmental funds will revert back to the original source of these funds. Also, the nonprofit section, any other assets shall revert to the nonprofit entity created. Section 24, the annual report. A report will be issued to the governor, the legislature, the Department of Education, and also to the public to include charter schools performance data. A peer report will be issued on funding and policy changes. Section 25, operation and autonomy. This section describes that all charter schools are non-profit. Charter schools must abide by the federal laws. And it exempts charters from the State Department statute. Public charter schools are not exempt from the following statutes: collective bargaining, teacher strike, acts of intimidation, parental abuse of school staff, disruption of the school and school meeting, violent acts of school property, false reporting of student count. Section 26, charter schools' power and general requirements. Now, this section simply gives necessary power to carry out the terms of this contract, to secure appropriate insurance, and receive and disperse funds also in this section protects all children in the same manner as non-charter schools. They can't charge tuition. They must provide transportation in the same manner as non-charter schools. Okay, section 27. Applicability of other laws, rules, and regulations. In this section, charter schools shall be subject to the same civil rights, health, and safety requirements. Charter schools shall be subject to the students' assessment and accountability requirements. Section 28. Employees of charter schools. Teachers in a public charter school may be exempt from state teacher certification requirements. Administrators of public charter schools may be exempt from state administration certification. And also a very important piece in this section. Employees in a public charter school are eligible to participate in the retirement and other benefit programs that the state provides. if the public charter school chooses to participate.
Okay, section 29, access to extracurricular activities and interscholastic activities.
Charters are eligible to